So Elisha had this idea to do a YouTube video on resources we have been loving because you guys ask us a lot what kind of resources, like who we're watching, who we're listening to, who we go to for inspiration, what we're currently loving. And we do our book videos, but we usually stay in the lane of books. So this is going to be non-book related. I mean, mine are kind of a little bit book related, but not stuff I've shared before. And so I'm excited to jump into this video. If you enjoy this channel, give it a thumbs up, click subscribe, and that way we can see you every Thursday.
So I'm going to be breaking the resources that I use down into like, okay, I use these on a daily basis or at the very least a weekly basis to different resources that I'll go to when I need something specific. If I feel like I need inspiration in regards to business or any more business insight, I've got a handful of podcasts or blogs that I go to. Likewise, if I feel like I need motivation in my health and fitness, there's a few people that I go to get inspired in those areas. But I'm primarily going to be focusing on the podcasts, the websites, the YouTube channels that benefit me on a regular basis, daily or weekly. What
am I going to do?
Yeah, what are you going to do?
Okay, so when I was thinking of resources I've been loving, mine are kind of all over the map. They aren't so much like YouTube channels and podcast channels necessarily.
That's great.
But I'll throw some in there.
I don't think there's no like wrong resources on this video that I'm aware of. I guess we'll see. Maybe we do have some wrong
Okay,
resources.
why don't you start?
Okay, where do I begin? So, here's the deal. I actually have formed the conviction a little bit recently as head of our home, as a protector of our home, to be slightly more in tune to what's going on in the world, in our state, in our city, in our town, from a news standpoint, for the sake of protecting and leading my home. However, I don't want to spend hours and hours and hours, watching whatever, CNN or Fox News or anything like that. And so every morning when I'm working out, I listen to the briefing. It's the Albert Mohler. It's like his little news and analysis of the news from a Christian worldview. And that is usually about 10 to 15, sometimes 20 minutes long of everything that's going on in the world. And it doesn't get my heart rate up a whole bunch. Again, it's just audio, so I'm not engaged on this like multimedia level. And I'm able to do my workout while I'm doing that. And I feel like I get plugged into the world. And then every morning after I do that, there's just this local North Idaho Facebook page. It's North Idaho News. And I get on there to make sure there's not, a huge flood down the street from my house I'm going to drive right into, or that there's a riot going on at the park that we plan on taking our kids to that day, because I want to be aware and be able to lead and protect my family as best as I can.
That's awesome, Elisha.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Good job. I
Thank
feel
you.
like all of a sudden that was like a therapy group, my response. That's not what this is.
I do. Yeah.
I loved it. I think it's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I'm done talking about that one. What's your first? Okay. What's the first resource you're going to tell us about?
Okay, the first resource I'm going to tell you guys about is a Spotify channel that Elisha listens to every morning that I love in our house. And it's this one, what is it? It's like these
Oh, it's just
themes.
called Christian. Oh, wait, are you talking about the soundtrack?
And I'm talking about the soundtrack one.
Oh, okay.
Well, you have a couple that are really good. Elisha puts together really good soundtracks.
No, I can't take credit for that. My brother Vance put this playlist together, and I listened to it.
Okay.
So my brother Vance Votberg, you can probably find his Spotify account, and it's his epic soundtrack playlist, I think.
Yeah, but Elisha listens to that in the morning, and it just makes you feel like anything is possible. And I love it. It's all instrumental. And so that's like wafting through our home when he does his morning routine in the house. And I love it so much.
One thing, last week we talked about trying to not have internet, or not trying. We had not internet for 1 month. And one of the things I missed the most was being able to listen to music at various times in the day. Because I think, like Katie said, I've got this playlist that's the first thing that goes on when I'm making my coffee in the morning. And it really gets me going in the day. And then likewise, there's some things that you listen to with the kids. And then at dinner time, we've got a playlist that really calms the kids down. It brings us to the table. And it's kind of like these cues that we have, and it really gets us in that frame of mind. So I didn't put those channels down on Spotify as resources.
We'll have them down in the description box.
Okay.
How about that? Because they're really good. I love the Maranatha praise one in the morning, like when we're eating breakfast. They're the older songs, not super contemporary. The really contemporary stuff, like, makes me want to punch.
Gives me a headache. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It just like keys the rhythms or the tune, whatever. It just like keys me up. It doesn't make me feel more.
Yeah, I feel like the old Maranatha stuff is just mellow enough so that you can do your life, but obviously it's still
like
contemporary
and
Christian.
worshipful.
But then a lot of our favorite songs, like that we would sing at our church, a lot of hymns, those ones are great. But I think that's like they are so wordy, I can't help but focus on the words when I'm going about my day. So I definitely can't listen to those like while I'm having a quiet time, because I'm thinking about maybe the theology and the words that they're saying, even though I appreciate that. A resource I use on a regular basis is Canon Plus. We've probably talked about this before. If not here, then maybe on the podcast. I love Canon Plus. I don't use their mobile app because we don't have smartphones, but you can use Canon Plus on your web browser, and that's how I use it. So on a daily basis, I am listening to, watching something, or reading something on Canon Plus that I find extremely helpful. I like things like Canon Plus where you're not just on these busy feeds like YouTube, right? Or like even in Spotify, that gets kind of busy. It's just devoted to like the niche that I'm looking for, really, usually. So Canon Plus, I'll listen to podcasts on there, watch documentaries. There's mini series on there. There's a free version of Canon Plus. I don't even use the free version. I'm pretty bucks up. I do the $8.99 a month version of Canon Plus, and I get access to some stuff that you that use the free version don't get access to. So it's pretty exclusive.
Okay. Pre-ply Spanish lessons. So I mention this because I love pre-ply, because when I was looking around for Spanish lessons, a lot of people said like Duolingo is great, and Duolingo is great, but it doesn't give you the opportunity to speak directly with someone who's native. And I really wanted to start trying to speak early and trip all over myself so that, I don't know, like I feel like it's easier to read Spanish than speak it, and it's embarrassing to speak it. And so I just wanted to dive into the deep end with that whole kind of like immersion, even though I'm living here in the States. So in North Idaho, nonetheless, where like no one speaks Spanish. So what I love about pre-ply, I learned about it from a podcast listener actually, and she was telling me it's so awesome because it basically combines the two things, which is really hard to do. So you can set up your lessons, and I actually am only paying $3 an hour for a lesson, which is pretty incredible, because you're hiring tutors that are local to where they live. And so you're paying, like the exchange rate is different, instead of paying a tutor in American dollars or in euros or those pesos. Those are the only things I know about.
It's pretty good.
Okay. So anyways, that's really awesome. It makes it really affordable. And then the other part of it is it still has the Duolingo aspect where you can like click on the pictures, or you can like do all these little exercises on your own. So It's like Duolingo plus the tutor. So anyways, I just think that's a fantastic resource and I love it.
Okay, here's another one I've thoroughly been enjoying, and that's Apologia Studios. There's Apologia. You can find a ton of free resources on YouTube where they've got podcasts. I particularly am consuming it's the Dr. Greg Bahnsen like catalog library. I don't know. I think they even call it like Bahnsen University or something like that on Apologia Studios. And here's the deal. You can actually get into all those Bahnsen videos for free. And so I'm not that high of a roller. I actually don't pay for like the premium Apologia Studios resources. I just get the free stuff. But I tell you what, especially most recently, Dr. Greg Bahnsen's series on like God's law and the Old Testament and how we should view that as Christians has been so helpful. There was like a million questions that I feel like I've been comprising over the last 20 years of being, a Christian. When I read the New Testament and I read 2 Timothy 3:16 says, all of Scripture is God breathed and profitable for reproof, for doctrine, for the completion of the saints. Be like, okay, so he's talking about the Old Testament, the law here. How does that relate then to me? And so there are many of those questions that I feel like I had, and he answers pretty much all of them. So, anyways, Apologia Studios, Jeff Durbin, all those guys. It's great. I also love Jeff Durbin's street witnessing videos. Luke and I were just talking about that. It's so cool when you see these theologians, these people that are making content online, but then they don't have this like ivory tower attitude where they're not above getting on the street level and talking to people, doing the what I would consider the hard work, of engaging with Mormons, engaging with Jehovah's Witnesses, going outside Planned Parenthoods, and pleading with mothers to save their child, to spare their child. So it's really inspirational, those videos are. And then they also have a catalog of theological videos that you can watch as well.
Audiobooks. Some things we really loved for the kids are, Elisha told me about these actually because you listened to him growing up. And one of them is the dramatized series, the Narnia series, via Focus on the Family. So it's an initial investment to get the actual CDs. We like the CDs because the kids can play them in their CD players in their rooms. We don't have any devices in their rooms. And then we can also listen to them on road trips. And so they are fantastic. They're expensive, but they're worth the price. We really treasure them. And those are just, really, really, really well done. They are. And we're reading the books together, but then after we've read a book, then we'll listen to the dramatization.
Wow. Yeah, it's so fun. The kids love it. You and I love it.
Yeah.
Like when we're road tripping and that's on, everybody's quiet. We're listening to it. We get really engaged.
Yeah, the music is great. The toddlers love the music, the theme music, and all that. So that, and then also the story of the world. So this is really popular in classical educators groups. There's actual books on the story of the world. I just think it's fantastic. But there's also audiobook versions. And so this is really fun to listen to. Again, on a long road trip. We're going on one tomorrow. We'll pull out some of the story of the world and have the kids narrate back what they hear.
Okay, I love Babylon Bee. I mean, come on. It's just too much
Who
fun.
doesn't love Babylon Bee?
Yeah, who doesn't? Here's another thing that I try to get as many of these as I can. And that is Socrates in the City, hosted by Eric Metaxas. I read I think the Bonhoeffer biography or the one on William Wilberforce that Eric Metaxas wrote. Also his biography on Martin Luther, so good. And then he's also actually got those easier, shorter biographies that are really short, short, like condensed biographies of like 7 men. Yeah, I think it's called 7 Men. And then there's 7 women. Another one, I think he's got another one called 7 More Men. Not sure if he's got 7 more women yet. Yeah. Little too egalitarian for him, probably. He's probably just got one edition of the women's copy. But the point is, I've really appreciated Eric Metaxas's writing. And then he's got his talk show, which I'm just kind of indifferent about. It doesn't really captivate me, so I don't listen to it. But I love his Socrates in the Cities. And these are long-form interview style where he sits down with different, usually intellectuals, and they talk about various topics from politics, religion, science, all of those things, usually from a conservative and Christian worldview. Not always. There are definitely non-Christians on there. But I discovered this, I think, back in 2016 or 17 when we were living in Bend. And I felt like this really opened my eyes to a lot of thought leaders in the West. And it was a very good and healthy introduction because Eric Metaxas is a Christian. He is conservative. So I loved being introduced to a lot of these concepts via him. And I would recommend Socrates in the City to anybody.
Yeah, so someone that I really enjoy listening to, I listen to the Andrew Huberman's podcast. I love his takes on essentially like biohacking, and it's just fascinating how the body works. And I've learned so much via his podcast, which I watch on YouTube. So those are really long videos, but there's also little clips of them available, and I like to. Should I do another one? You gonna do another?
That was kind of short. I feel like I think you deserve another one.
I'm going to do another one. Another resource I've been loving. Okay, we're going to this is actually a physical resource. LMNT Electrolytes.
Oh, nice.
On the track of like Andrew Huberman. I feel like all the biohackers that are like popular right now recommend LMNT Electrolytes. And if it's good enough for them, I figured it was good enough for me. I started taking them when I was pregnant, and I was drinking over a gallon of water a day because everyone's, freaked out about, oh, you're going to lose all your minerals. So you don't want to lose all your minerals. So I started doing that in 1 bottle of water a day, taking those LMNT electrolytes. They taste so good. I love how strong they are with the salty flavor.
Oh, yeah.
And they don't have all the junk that a lot of other electrolytes do. And it's just like become a habit for me. And I still do that. I still drink a gallon of water and I still drink LMNT electrolytes.
Katie's crushing her morning routine, her health routine right now. And
You are too.
Oh, well, thank you. And I mean, speak to elements. Is it element or element?
Yeah, it's LMNT
That's
is how it's spelled. So if you like type in element, the actual word, it's not going to come up, but you say element.
Okay, I'm just going to list off a few podcasts that I'll listen to for business inspiration. Tim Ferriss, it's like the original podcast you and I both started listening to back in the day. He still has on some really interesting guests. And so that's one of those things where I popcorn depending on the guest, right? It's like, oh, that I know who so-and-so is. You know, it's the CEO of whatever, you know, Shopify. I want to hear what they're working on. And so I'll listen to an episode. Likewise with like Lex Friedman, it's the same type of thing. If there's an interesting guest, I'll listen to his podcast. My First Million is another podcast I'll listen to just to kind of stay inspired in the business realm of life.
So when it comes to homeschooling, we're all over the map with this one. I have 2 resources that I have been loving for our kids. So I want my children to be better at math than I am. And so I was really looking for math resources. And we use Saxon, but I wanted to skip 3rd grade and go straight into 4th because I feel like 3rd grade in Saxon is just a repeat of 2nd. It just basically introduces multiplication and division. And so I was like, how do we just get this multiplication and division down, do it in a couple months, and then go into 4th grade instead of kind of lollygagging through 3rd grade?
No lollygagging.
No lollygagging. So some of you have already heard of this resource. It's fantastic. It's called Learn Math Fast. And it's incredible for remedial math. So if you have kids that are further along that need to go back and cover the bases, it goes so fast through all the concepts that you use over and over and over and over. And Leon loves it. He's 6 years old and he's just flying through this first book. The first book is just addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. And then the second book is decimals, percentages, fractions, and something else. But it like just covers all these big block functions in math that often we like end up a little shaky on if you aren't like a math nerd, because you're also learning random stuff like how to tell time and how to write the date and how to measure with a ruler. And like all these things that are functional and you use them in your day-to-day life, but sometimes you just need to get like the big blocks covered. So anyways, been loving that. The other thing is Mad Dog Math. And this has made memorizing math facts and division facts for Leon and Lucy really systematic, which I love. There's no gaps, and they love that they get to join the 2-minute club when they can do a fact family. I think that's what you call them, or a multiplication family or whatever. Who's the teacher anyways? In 2 minutes, writing them all down with them all mixed up. And so they love that when they get to join the 2-minute club. So I love that. It's quick, it's efficient, and there's just no gaps all the way from the 1s to the 12s.
Chess.com. We already talked about how we enjoy playing chess. Well, chess.com is a great resource. You can create a free account. Find me on there. I'm not good, but I'd love, it'd be fun to play against somebody that.
Oh, no way. That'd be a blast.
Yeah, it'd be fun to play chess. We can meet up and play some chess on chess.com. And then also, I love going through Corey Wong's guitar course. I bought this probably a year ago, but there's so much content in there. Like I'll still go back and reference some of the early lessons. And even as a seasoned musician, I love direction. I love being told, hey, work on this or just start with this, because the realm of possibilities for practicing when it comes to technical or theoretical or creative things that you want to work on in your music, it's endless. So it's easy to be like, man, I only have 20 minutes. You sit down and you're like, where do I even start? I can't cover everything in 20 minutes. And so I love the program that Corey Wong has for me that I can just follow along. Here's a right hand exercise. Here's a left hand exercise. Here's some theory things to work on. And so the Corey Wong guitar course, I think he just has one, but I'm not sure. It's the Corey Wong guitar course though.
Okay, something I've been enjoying. I've already shared about daily routine fitness. Daily routine fitness I did through my pregnancy, and I love the weight training exercises. And I modified some of the stomach stuff, the ab workouts and stuff. So my diastasis recti, I only had a 1-finger gap when Lionel was born, and it completely closed at 6 weeks, which is just the fastest that I've ever been able to close that gap. And so I have been loving the MelissaWoodHealth.com. She's like my new favorite gal right now. And I'm doing her Pilates classes to really strengthen my core and bring in my stomach muscles. And so that's been a really fun workout for me. It's very restful in the mornings, but I really feel it in my core.
Okay, if I'm feeling kind of like uninspired, feeling soft, I need some motivation, I will go to, I enjoy Andrew Huberman, but I also enjoy the Jocko podcast. I'll enjoy the Cam Haynes podcast. I think it's called Keep Hammering, actually. And once again, that's all dependent on their guest. It's like, oh, so-and-so's on, the Cam Haynes podcast. I want to listen to that episode. And there are some inspiring stories, likewise with the Jocko podcast. Of course, there's explicit language on those. I say, of course. Yeah, of course. I'm warning you. There is explicit language on those, so this isn't just like some endorsement to play this in your home, at any hour of the day with your children. But those are some fun, motivating podcasts for me. And I've talked about this before. I wish there were more Christian podcasts that inspired me in being just better at life. But until then, I think I'll probably keep listening to Jocko.
Keep listening to these guys. When it comes to books, read aloud books and books for the kiddos to read on their own. I love Ambleside Online. They have a free book list. It's, Ambleside Online is a Charlotte Mason curriculum, but you can pull from it if you're just wanting good books to add to your home. And then also the RC book list. So the Robinson curriculum is something that I've been learning about, especially just like the Saxon math side, because I love Charlotte Mason and the classical form of education for other subjects. But my natural bent is English and language arts, and I already love that style, and the math I needed some help in. So RC curriculum, I guess this is a twofold recommendation. RC curriculum is great on just like teaching kids to self-learn. And then the RC book list is also a great book list. It's unlike the Ambleside Online book list, which is meant to be read aloud for the earlier grades, and it's actually focusing on books that children can read for themselves. So they have really cool old books. A lot of them you can find reprints of that children can read in their first grade year and second grade year and third grade year on their own. And so I love that, how they're kind of broken down by grade level reading.
Nice. I love it. A few more I'll list off, and I'll use these more of like references. Blue Letter Bible, again, I love pulling that up in my morning Bible time, and I'll read a passage and I'll be like, no, wait, like what is that? What does that mean? What's the Greek? What's the Hebrew? And I'll pull up Blue Letter Bible and type that verse in. Also, Ligonier Ministries, just their whole archive. I love R.C. Sproul. I'll go back and listen to his sermons. They've got like short clips of him too. If you don't, if you're a busy guy, you can just go listen to like a 5-minute clip of RC, which is always helpful. And then some things, I'm just going to close out here. Okay, these are my last things.
That sounds good.
Audible, love audiobooks. Okay, audiobooks that I listen to are both very helpful, and sometimes they're just straight up like junk food entertaining too. And so,
like while you fall asleep.
Yeah, or while I'm driving around, stuff like that. And then some other, I do subscribe to Daily Wire. We subscribe to Daily Wire Plus. So love listening to Jordan Peterson on there. And then this is the last one, even though I'm just trying to tell the truth here. Okay. I'm not necessarily proud of this, but I do love listening to, for better or for worse, NPR. I don't have a smartphone. I don't have anything to listen to in the car, and NPR, regardless of how, I should say it's so far liberal and progressive and not God-honoring in their worldview, but the quality of their content is really great, and it is insightful to even listen to people that have a godless worldview and how they try to form some level of morality without there being an objective truth, without there being an objective standard of morality. So I always find it insightful and enlightening, and like I said, their production value has always been my favorite since I was a young child, because I grew up listening to them. So NPR.
So anyways, okay, that's all that we have for you guys today. Hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to click the subscribe button, and we'll see you next Thursday.
Bye-bye.
Hey, you guys, I just wanted to tell you real quick about my homeschooling course, Homeschooling the First 3 Years. It's all about laying a foundation of joy and confidence and fun and simplified homeschool in your home. So if you're in a place where maybe you're considering homeschooling your kiddos in the next few years, then this course is for you. It's going to break down not only what we do for homeschool in our family and what we've done for the first 3 years in homeschool, but it's also going to show you exactly how that looks. So I'm going to take a camera around with me vlog style and show you how does it look to homeschool with a baby? How does it look to homeschool with a toddler? How does it look to homeschool multiple grades at one time? How do you navigate different learning tendencies? How do you navigate your learning style as a teacher? And how do you motivate children and get them to love learning? I love homeschooling my kids. One of my favorite things that I get to do with them each day, and it's something that I want you to love doing with your children as well. So if you look down in the description box, you will be able to find a discount code where you can get a discount off of Homeschool the First 3 Years, and I really hope that it blesses your home.